Welcome to another episode of the Throws Show. So we are going to dive deep into all the big happenings in the throwing world, including, what is this, like the second or third week of outdoor tracks. So we're starting to see some big results in the hammer, starting to see some really big results in the discus. And a lot of even the northern schools that typically tend to be a little bit colder are starting to get some warmer weather. So even in Pennsylvania, we're getting a little bit more warmer weather. So we're starting to see some really big throws. I think we're 8 weeks, a little more than 8 weeks out from the Olympic trials. So a lot of the post-collegiate athletes are starting to really toss some big bombs. And a lot of people are getting vaccinated, and COVID seems, it's sort of on the rise in some states, but a lot of people are getting vaccinated. So hopefully everything continues smoothly this outdoor season, Trevor.
Yeah.
So let's dive right into our first topic, which is going to be going over NDSU, North Dakota State. Michaela Long goes 1794, and I'm fairly certain that she has been on the Throw Show more than anyone else so far. I think this is her third time.
Turner Washington, maybe.
Oh, true.
He's been killing it.
Yeah. So I know this is her third time on here. She went 1794. She's tied for third in the NCAA, and then her teammate Shelby Gunnels also went 1778, which is fourth in the NCAA. So
2 gliders.
Yeah, and
How
I think
about that?
Yeah, and one, there's 2 gliders, and I'm going to steal what Trevor said prior to our actual conversation, unless you want to talk that through, Trevor.
Well, I thought it was interesting that, okay, so here are 2 gliders, both from the same school, both are in high 17s, and yet both of their glides are very different. So they, it's not a one size fits all sort of thing. Like Keely has the shot higher, kind of more similar to where you'd put it for a spinner, and she non-reverses at the finish, versus Shelby, who has the shot more under her chin and has a big reverse.
And Shelby, actually, her left arm out of the back is much more under control there, whereas Michaela Long almost brings that left arm forward, similar to Gunther a little bit, and then reloads it in the middle.
Yeah.
So they're pretty drastically different technical styles. I also think this, Justin St. Clair is the coach there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just the results that he's gotten from the men's side, the women's side now, even more so. It's like, I think throwers out there are going to be hard pressed to find a better all-around throws coach. Actually, there's one later on in our episode we can touch on, but these results are, to me, they're incredible. They're awesome.
Yeah. So, up next in the high school realm, we've had some big throws. This was about 2 weeks ago, I think. Michaela Long, 53-3. That's a massive throw for a high school shot putter.
What is that, 16?
16-20 something.
Ooh, good celebration too. 16-20, yeah. That's huge. And I'm pretty sure that's Arizona State record. 53, that's a 5-foot PR. And
That's massive.
if you follow Desert High Performance on Instagram, if you follow Ryan Whiting at all, you can see what she's been doing training wise for the last year. I think he posts videos of her throwing almost every single day. And so other high school kids, if you want to get to that national lead, if you want to be one of the best in the U.S., this is what it takes. It's regular training all of the time, 4, 5, 6 days a week to get to that point where you're hitting 16 meters when you're in high school, and it's possible. It is possible to get there. That's a huge
I think she's
throw.
also maybe almost a high 160 discus thrower, and I think that was from last year. So it'll be interesting to see, how she does in discus this year too.
I think even just talking about the high school level, it's with Michaela Long here, Ashlyn, Sarah Marvin, you add in Trinity, even the girl from Council Rock. There might be 4 or 5 girls well over 50 feet.
Yeah, and Ryan has another girl.
Over 50?
Yeah, as well. She
That's
threw
good.
indoor. I think her name's Michaela too. I forget her last name, but yeah, then just this past weekend.
I want to actually brag here. We had we had a meet this weekend at Throws U at Garage Strength here, where we had Ashlyn go 16-15. We had 2 different Olympic standards hit. So Tim Netta went 21-11, which we'll show. Alex Rose also hit the discus Olympic standard for the second time this year. Trinity went 47.8. You know, Sarah Marvin went 15 meters. It's like, dude, we just, you know, Benji, who was in 8th grade, threw 53 and almost 170.
Yeah, right.
And it's like,
with the 1.6.
Yeah, and we just put together this meet, and those are the results. So I think that's pretty freaking cool.
I think it's just like, you know, people are ready to throw, like, out, especially outdoors in the discus. Like, you know, they're not letting a chance like this slip.
Exactly.
You know?
I think that's the big thing, is that a lot of athletes now are starting to realize, like, wow, I've got to take advantage of this time to compete. I've got to take advantage of this opportunity because of what happened last year. And I think that's a huge step in maturity for throwers in general. Is like, dude, take advantage of what you have. This is when you can compete. Compete. Don't sit back. And I think that's one thing that Tom Walsh has even touched on. Like, it's better to compete a little bit more and to get your legs, you know, get your legs into that competition shape, than to just constantly wait and wait and wait until you feel like you're good to compete, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how, like, you know, confident you are. Like, there's always a progression you make in competition and a progression you make in practice. And you need those competition reps to, you know, to optimize your performance later down the road in competitions.
All right, so wait, I want to ask you, because I've watched this throw probably about 100 times back and forth scrubbing.
So have I.
So, and Trevor's Ashlyn's coach. What are you going to fix? What are you going to fix to get her to throw 17? Ooh.
So I think she did a lot of things well, and a lot of things we've been working on. She actually fixed in this throw. One thing she had been doing is pulling out of the back a little bit and then opening up, kind of falling on her left side and even having some fouls out the left side of the circle. But on this throw, she lined it up all very well out of the back. I still think she is a little open. She could hold her left arm a little bit longer, hold her shoulders back a little bit longer, get her left down faster. And her right knee is still coming up a little bit in the middle. I think if she got her right foot down, her right knee down in the middle just a little quicker, that would just speed up the whole middle of the throw. So I think, you know, I think this is a really good technical throw for her, and I think that's why she had a big jump. Like, this was an over 3-foot PR for her. And I think it's because she put all those technical things together in one throw, one aggressive throw. But certainly doesn't mean that there isn't more room for growth. And, you know.
She also followed this up with another 16-meter throw, too.
Yeah. She had 3 throws over previous PR.
And she PR'd in her discus.
Yeah, yep. So.
Good job, Trevor.
Yeah. Congrats, Ashlyn. It's huge.
So here's Timmy Cat going 21-11. And Tim, that's a big throw. Tim had some warm-ups. I think he had some warm-ups hitting out around 22. Just huge warm-ups. And I think he knew he was in pretty good shape and ready to roll. First throw was deep, just a little bit of a foot foul out of the right side, and then he just came back. This was on that second throw, lined it up really well, sat into that finish, and it just took off, man. That was the huge throw.
Yeah.
What do you see Tim can do better?
I think now he made it work on this throw, but what we don't see is all of his other throws were fouls out the front. And I think part of it is his finish is just a little short. I think he could rotate through the finish a little bit longer, and I think that'd help him come back into the circle a little easier, especially on some of those, you know, fouls he had.
I think that's partially what you were just talking about with Ashlyn, where she falls into her left a little. I think he's actually doing this slightly here, but on the fouls that he had, he was falling into the left, almost where that left leg was like blocking him off. And that's why a lot of the throws were ended up down that right sector, because out of the back, he wasn't coming around his left as well as he actually did on this throw, even though he does fall in a little bit On this throw, he does a better job. On the other throws, he's sort of falling in
so
a little.
that rotational finish at the front starts out of the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Javelin.
Yeah. This is the first javelin appearance. And
I think it's well worth it.
Yeah, this is Therese Obst in 61:28. Fourth all-time collegiate performer, the number 5th all-time performance ever. So 61:28 is huge. I don't know what the Olympic standard is. That's got to be the Olympic standard.
Yeah,
I would think. I would think it's probably 61. One thing I wanted to bring up, so this was almost 2 weeks ago. When I was in Doha, I like to just watch other coaches and sort of just like stalk them a little bit and see what they're doing, see if they're writing notes or seeing what they're doing with their warm-ups, see what they're doing with their athletes, see how they communicate, what's their body language like. And I've watched Coach Babbitt a lot. I've never really talked to him much, but I like to see how he engages and he interacts, because he's probably had more NCAA champs than anybody else that's in the NCAA right now. He's probably had more All-Americans. He's done a phenomenal job, and I'd say he is outside, him and that top 5. He's definitely one of the top 5 guys, along with St. Clair, who we were mentioning earlier from NDSU. And so one of the things that I thought was interesting is that he's always been notorious for a shot coach, even after Denzel was there as a hammer and discus guy coach. And now he's had really good javelin throwers in the past. He has, not that he hasn't had that, but he hasn't really been known as such. And one of the things that I brought up to Trevor beforehand was that when we were in Doha, I noticed when the javelin thrower, who's a 91-meter guy from Taiwan, or Chinese Taipei, however whatever you want to call it, I would say Taiwan. He was watching him train, and he was filming his training. He was filming his footwork, and he was videoing a lot of his throws. And then you could see him sort of scrubbing back and analyzing it. And I thought that was an interesting moment for me. This is one of the best guys in the world, and he's around one of the best javelin throwers in the world, and he's still learning. And I think that. Who knows? Maybe some of that stuff that he was doing that day came.
There's a reason why you're the best in
because you're constantly learning. You're constantly learning and trying to get better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is Johannes Vetter sitting deep into that right bent knee. Boom.
Stretch.
I always love seeing the rhythm of Vetter and. Roller, they've just got such good footwork.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing too is how certain concepts of the throws carry over to all the throws. The same principles apply in all the throws, and I think one thing here is just he's got a long grounded finish, and every single throw out there every event, you need a long, grounded finish to throw far. And I think that, this is a good video at
just displaying that. Yeah, for sure. Congrats and good job to our video editor for displaying this nice, grounded double support. All right, so before we get into the next thrower, if you need help with learning how to spin, you need help with learning how to coach the spin and taking beginner throwers and getting them to that next step, taking someone like Ashlyn Giles and getting her from throwing, in the 30s to then throwing 52-11 while she's in high school, we have the Learn to Spin in 30 Days course. And so if you want that, you can head over to throwsuniversity.com and you can pick that up today. It's going to help you learn the basics, the ins and outs behind the rotational shot.
Whether you're a coach or an athlete.
Exactly. And that even will come into play. I'm the one who walks through. Trevor wrote the whole program. He wrote the whole course. I ended up doing the instruction for it. And a lot of that knowledge and a lot of that information is exactly what we utilize to help develop Alex Rose from 57, 58-meter discus thrower to 67, 17. And this is when This 67.17 is Alex's PR. And on top of that, one, it's his PR. Two, it hit the Olympic standard. Now he's had 2 Olympic standards. At this point, he has since hit it for the 3rd time. So he is going to Tokyo representing Samoa. And on top of that, one of the neatest things for me was Alex was on like it was like program 33 to 67 meters.
So we write like 4-week programs.
Yeah.
So this is, wait, what did you say, 33?
Yeah.
So I don't know how many months that's been.
That would be, I mean,
well, 33 months, I guess.
It would be like 2.5, 3 years. Or more than 3 years. So it's like, think about that as, Alex PR'd, the last time he PR'd was 2019. It's 2021 now, and the whole time I had been writing him these programs to throw 67 meters. And he even sat there and he's like, one of the first things he said, he's like, you better start changing the program titles. And the thing is like, that's the little stuff that you can do as a coach and that you can do as an athlete to really keep yourself motivated. So congrats, Alex. And this was the wind wasn't even that great here. I think he's got really big throws waiting to come out. I think this is going to be a real big year for Alex, so
yeah,
I'm proud of him. Getting into the UVA guys, I think Martin Marich just has a ton of really good throwers right now.
Speaking of top 5 coaches in the NCAA.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like this is, so Jordan Young's been down there now for 3 or 4 years since graduating, 2 or 3 years, whatever it is. And everybody's sort of seen it. He's been doing a good job with his training. He's been banged up here and there, but he's starting to heal up, and he's starting to look really, really good, really smooth with his movement. And 64.84, he's creeping up on the Olympic standard. He's a meter 16 underneath that, and that's something that he's definitely 100% capable of smashing, I think, in the very near future. So, well done to Jordan Young there at 64.84. Stay tuned for bigger throws from him. Yeah. Especially, he's got a training partner.
I was going to say, I think that's an interesting, aspect with Jordan is, he's so public about his training.
Yeah.
He's obviously been doing it for a long time. His YouTube channel goes back,
a couple of years,
several years, and it's cool to see he's showing the work he's doing. He's showing the effort that he's putting into his throw, and he's seeing the reward, the fruit from that.
Yeah, and I actually would recommend go check out his YouTube channel because he helps. It's easy to see his mindset, but also how an elite world-class thrower has to think to get themselves to continue to train and to continue to work hard and to get through all the struggles that you might have to get to this point. And it's going to help put things and keep things in perspective. And here we've got his training partner, what's his last name? Claudio. Ramirez, maybe, from Chile. Going 62.56. And again, we had Maria Diavez is down there. She's one of our athletes from high school. That was a 53-footer in high school as well. And so they've just got a really, really good group down there. They've always had really good group because Martin's a very good leader. He's got good charisma. He's a good technical coach. He's a good strength coach with them as well. And you can just see with how these guys are moving. They move. It's almost what you're talking about with the girls from NDSU. These guys like Jordan Young and Claudio move similar, but at the same time just have a little bit difference that's very unique to them.
Yeah. And we didn't mention Jacob Lemon. He went 58 as well.
Oh, he did? Yeah, geez, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are getting into the hammer throw. Man, she looks good.
Yeah. But this is an American record.
I think she's going to go 80. I think she's going to drop something huge.
78.60 was this mark.
And this is also where Brooke Anderson went?
Yeah. So
same meet?
Brooke, I actually don't know if it's the same meter. I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't.
But yeah, Brooke Anderson also went over 78, 78-18.
Which is huge. So 2 women over 78, and on top of this, Brooke had a foul, 76-meter throwabout, and then another foul, and then got it together in the final. And so I think that's a good sign for her from a competitive standpoint. But man, her and DeAnna, it's sort of crazy where, Jason had mentioned this beforehand before we got on camera, is that the U.S. has potential to go 1 and 2 at the Olympics. And I think that that's phenomenal, where it's like that's where women's hammer has come a long way in the U.S. I remember seeing like Erin Gilreath throw 71 meters, and it was like, oh my gosh. And now that's a dime a dozen, really. It's like, these women now are pushing 2 girls over 78, and it's just absolutely incredible. So, looking at this, it's got to be real for everybody to recognize that. I mean, 1, she's hit the standard, Brooke has. And 2, Brooke and DeAnna are, DeAnna's the reigning world champ. Like they can legitimately go 1, 2, and they're going to have to compete with each other at the trials.
Yeah, right.
And that takes us to Rudy Winkler, my housemate at the Olympic trials.
77-89.
I just loved how he wrote a nice little rust buster. And so what, Rudy had, how many throws last year over 80? Now he's creeping right back to 78 meters. It's not raining. So this is a real competition, and 78 meters basically looks good. I want to message him about this because I feel like he looks different from 3 to 4 there. I don't know why, though. What are your thoughts, Trevor?
I don't know if I could tell you, Dane. I'm not an expert on the hammer.
I think I'm so excited for the men's and women's hammer final at the trials, because it should be on the day break when there's usually a day where there's no track events, so they'll shut down and just have the hammer. And it's all in the infield. I'm so excited to see everybody just going head to head and what the outcomes are. So Rudy is a monster. Looks like he's in really good shape, as usual, and I'm sure he's going to be ready to go and compete really well and represent the U.S. at the Olympics again. Yeah. And that brings us into the final spot, and this is Morgan Shigo, who's trained with Garage Strength, trained at Throws U since 6th grade, 7th grade, and now he's training out in South Dakota with A.G. Kruger. Went to Penn State, multiple-time All-American there in the hammer and the weight. And now, he opened up with a early season PR and then came back and followed it up with 74.95. The Olympic standard is 75.50. So if Morgan can hit 75.50 at the trials or prior to that, and then go to the trials and compete really well, which he typically does, we might have, like we mentioned in the previous episode, Alex Young, Sean Don, Rudy, Connor McCullough, all these guys, Danny Ho, all these guys going 75-50, hitting the standard, and then meeting head to head. And that's what I think is so exciting. It's so cool to see the hammer for the men's side and the women's side just really start to blow up in the U.S., and especially with Morgan being a GS OG, he actually trained with us when we were at my parents' house when you first started training. I think it's cool to see how far he's come and, where he's going with everything. So this is great.
Grew up, what, a couple minutes down the road from
literally
where
from
we
the
are
gym
right
now. Yeah, like 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
All right, so if you guys have any videos, if you have big throws and you want them to get onto the throw show, DM them to us. We're trying to get the sport to continue to grow, to get more attention in social media so that we can get more people involved, more throwers involved, and we can continue to see the discus numbers climb, the hammer numbers climb, the javelin numbers climb, and then obviously the shot numbers hopefully will just stay the same so that everybody can grow to the shot numbers. But you can DM them. You can let us know what big marks that you've seen or what you were able to throw this past weekend or the previous weekend, and then we'll put them on here and we'll make sure that everybody gets their nice credentials and recognized for all the hard work that you put in.
Yeah.
Until next time, guys. Peace.